Think I'm live. Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo shopping live stream where we go online together and look for deals on photography gear and accessories. And I try to cherry pick a few deals out every week. And I normally focus on entry-level type products, budget products that are a good value for people just getting started. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to expand your photography and the kind of photography you can do. So, there's the core essentials, tripods, camera bags, lens filters. These are three things I think every photographer needs. And then we have a few other things out there, memory cards, batteries, things like that I like to focus on. But every now and then I'll find something kind of interesting that, as you advance in your photography, can help you in the field with your workflow, or, could be anything. There's so many different varieties of people's workflow and the kind of photography you do. And I usually find every other week or so, I'll find something kind of interesting that's, solves a problem, right? And I'll share one or two things I found there. And I see Henning's here and Robert's here. Good to see you guys. So without further ado, yeah, just full disclosure, I am an affiliate for Amazon and B&H and eBay. And so any links that will be down below, I'll earn a commission, and it's a great way to support the channel without, making direct donations and things like that. But those are always also appreciated. So I will have an open Q&A as well. So if you have any questions about, if you're looking for particular gear or would like a recommendation, I have, I don't know, 12, 13 years experience now of just buying gear. So I have a pretty good feel for the kind of products out there and can maybe anticipate if it's going to be a good deal or not, or at least a decent quality. So all that said, let's see if all my buttons are working today. I think so. So you just go to robtrek.com/deals or amazon.com/shop robtrek, as you can maybe see up here. But the deal page comes here. So robtrek.com/deals comes to this page, and I update this pretty regularly. At least today, I did a lot of updates, but I did a few other updates during the week, adding products, deleting products, because they're not on sale anymore. And I wanted to point out a couple of things. This question came up, I think it was from Darko, in the last stream about, doing tabletop photography, product photography, and this is on sale now. This is a 12 by 12 inch, light box. So you can put whatever inside and get nice even lighting. This is great for, if you sell things on eBay and things like that. It's really handy for really showcasing the product and getting accurate colors. Because I can tell you, I do a lot of shopping on eBay, and one of the biggest problems I find, particularly with clothing, the colors are never match, even within the same listing, one shot to the next, the color looks completely different. But accessories like this can help quite a bit of getting that even lighting and consistent shot-to-shot color. So there's that. And let's see. This is one of those things that I thought was really interesting. So it's basically an electronic viewfinder that plugs into the HDMI port. So there's a lot of cameras coming out now. They made some notes here about Sony, but yeah, there's a lot of cameras that support HDMI out but don't have a EVF. So this is kind of a substitute for that in a way. So I don't know if this makes sense for everyone, but for some of you, it may be a big deal, right? To be able to have an electronic viewfinder. And this one's quite large from what I can tell. It's not something I I need or would buy personally, because it just doesn't work on my workflow. But again, this is one of those devices that might be exactly what you were looking for. So I thought I'd put that up there. So I thought that was interesting. But a good way to test to see what you're going to see in the viewfinder is to, if you have a portable monitor already, and likely you do, plug that in and, because what you see on that monitor is going to be what you see in this electronic viewfinder. And if you can see all your settings and the focus boxes, things like that. And if you don't have a portable monitor, you can usually just plug into your TV directly or any computer monitor and see what this EVF will show you with your camera before you buy it. And then, as always, Amazon has a very liberal return policy. If it doesn't perform or the way you expected, you can just return it, right? So I thought this was really, really neat. Okay, and then Mega Gear, this is an actual real leather case. I have one for my EM5 Mark II and also for my LX100 Mark II, exactly from Mega Gear. And these are great little leather cases. It's half price. That's when I bought mine, was when they were half price. So right now the EM5 Mark III and OM5, not the OM5 Mark II, this will fit those cameras. And it works great. So the only caveat I would say is, like, this little tripod socket here, if you add Arca Swiss plate to the bottom here, a lot of times when you take the Arca Swiss plate off, that screw is going to come out with it, and it's a little bit of a pain to separate them if you like make things tight, and you do need to make things tight if you're going to be mounting onto a tripod. So just be aware of that. But if you're hand holding most of the time, this is a great way to add a little protection to your camera. Particularly the bottom plate right here is very, very thick. There's an aluminum plate inside here that's pretty thick and will give you really nice protection and add a little heft to the camera. I mean, it's not heavy, but it does add some nice bulk to the camera, so it's easier to hold and just feels more durable, and certainly more rugged, because there's a lot of times you have to set your camera down on a table or even on a concrete wall like I did this weekend. But since I had since I had bottom plates on all my cameras, I wasn't concerned about scratching my camera. Another option for the OM5 is this Hogue plate. OM5 and EM5 Mark III. It's a really nice little bit of extra grip, and also it has an Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. And again, protecting the bottom of your camera, because the OM5, EM5 Mark III are plastic, right? So this will really protect the base plate of your camera, reinforce the tripod screw mount, because these cameras were kind of known for having weak tripod screw mounts, relative to full metal body type cameras. And this will help mitigate that quite a bit, because now you're distributing the weight across the entire bottom of the camera and at different points, rather than just putting all the force right on that tripod screw mount. So if if the leather case doesn't interest you, then this is a great option and adds a little better ergonomics. Okay, and I found a bunch of other cases on sale. Here's one for Nikon Z50 Mark II. I know a lot of you have this camera as well. So you can do that, because again, the Z5 Mark II is a plastic camera, and this adds a nice little base plate to it, as well as giving you a little extra protection and style. $16.49, that's a good deal. Here's another one. Now, this is not real leather. I don't think the Z50 was. I think the previous one was, but this one is not. But still, the idea here, particularly with the ZFC, this is kind of a vintage leather case that we used to get with the film cameras back in the day. So if you want to go all in on that aesthetic, you can do that pretty affordably here for just 20 bucks. Uh, so I think it's nice. It's not bad. It looks good on the ZFC. And again, the ZFC is a very light camera because it is all plastic. So again, this adds a little bit of style and protection at the same time. Okay, now here's now this is less than half the price of the real leather case. If you don't care if it's real leather or not, because you know the fake leather is fine, really. You can get one for 10 bucks. Just a little half leather case. Same idea here. It adds a nice base plate down here, you know, aluminum base plate to protect the bottom of the camera, and you still have access to your battery. And then there's the tripod screw mount with the same caveat that I mentioned before. I wish this had a separate quarter 20 screw mount behind the actual screw mount, but in this, the way they designed this one, they didn't do that. But a lot of the ones I've seen have that, but this one does not. But it's 10 bucks, right? And again, it'll give you some extra protection and a little bit of style. Same thing for the XT50. You know, fake leather half case. And let's see if they show the bottom of this one. Yeah, this one's the same. Quarter 20 screw directly there. Because this like the OM5 is a tiny camera. But it does, like I said, I would just not take a camera out without having some kind of base plate. So, for example, this is my EM5 Mark III with the Hogue grip. And, you know, it just lets me mount very quickly to tripods. A little bit of extra grip really makes a big difference in the handling of this camera. And it really adds some nice protection and reinforces the tripod plate. But all my cameras are like that. You know, I have one for my OM5 or OM3. Nice. This is a Leo photo base plate with a grip and Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. And of course my OM1, same thing. These are things I always buy when I buy a camera, is I always get a full metal base plate, whether it's a half leather case or just the plate itself, the base plate itself. Okay, and just about every camera on my rack back there has some variation. Okay, here, this is a excellent deal. Unfortunately, it's the 72 millimeter is on sale. The 58 is also on sale, and it's also at a very good deal. The 58 is a really good common size for micro four thirds lenses, like the 12 to 45 Pro, the 75 millimeter, the 40 to 150, f4 to 5.6 R. That's a very common thread size for micro four thirds. And 72 is more common on like full frame cameras, lenses. But this is a great deal because what you get is a variable ND filter that's no color shift. That's key. There's always a little bit, but this minimizes it quite a bit when they actually claim there's no color shift. And it has a magnetic circular polarizer. What is that? Yeah, magnetic lens. Why does it say MRC? MRC. This is a variable ND filter, magnetic. Oh, I'm sorry. It's an ND32 filter, not a polarizer. Because the variable ND in itself is kind of a polarizer. But yeah, you get a 9-stop total when you combine the two. You combine the ND32 and the circular polarizer. I'm sorry, the variable ND filter. The variable ND filter is probably a 5-stop, and then you're adding 4 more with the ND32. But these are so useful in the field. I use them all the time, especially with flash photography. Uh, when I want to shoot the lens a little more wide open, it gives me more options. Videographers love ND filters. I don't do a lot of video, but it's really important for maintaining your shutter angle. And and then also if you want to do longer exposures, right, you can stack these on and add 9 stops very easily, right, to do daytime long exposures. So 26.99 and 26.59 for the 58 millimeter. These are the two that are on sale right now, and that's as good a price as you're ever going to get on these. Okay, another interesting filter I'm thinking about, it's coming in a 77 millimeter thread, which is pretty big. So I probably end up hand holding it most of the time in front of the lens instead of screwing it onto, and I do that most of the time anyway. These special effect filters, I rarely screw on directly. I usually just hold it in front of the lens because I like to move it around a little bit just to get some other effects. This is a filter I don't have that gives some really interesting effects. So I might pick this one up now that it's on sale for myself. I kind of like this. I mean, I know a lot of people hate these things, but personally, I just go out to have fun with my photography, and I really, really like this. So there's that. So I see Dan's here and Julio's here and Jeff. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me today. And let me do one quick thing, and we'll go back into. But if you guys have any questions, ooh, maybe I'm getting a delivery. Nope. It's the guy checking the gas meter at my neighbor's. Sorry, my alarm went off. Okay. So let me go back to the deal page here. Another filter that's kind of a must-have is just a solid 10-stop ND filter. And this is in the 58 millimeter thread. The 62 is also on sale for, looks like $6 more. But the 58 and the 62, even the 48, these are all very common thread sizes for the Micro Four Thirds lenses. But a lot of you have the 12 to 45 f4 Pro. It's probably my favorite lens right now. And I was gonna check my filter stack over here. I have like 3 boxes of filters over here, various sizes, because I buy them when they're on sale, and ultimately I get it. I have the right filter for the right lens. But I'm thinking about picking this up for myself. I'm not positive. I think I have a 62 millimeter ND1000. I'll have to check. But anyhow, 10-stop ND, again, great for doing long exposures in the daytime. If you're Micro Four Thirds OM system shooter, you can also do live composite using a 10-stop ND filter in the daytime. So you can do things with a 10-stop ND filter that you can't do otherwise. And for $10.49, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to pick one of these up and expand your photography in more creative ways. Okay, and Lars is here. How are you, Lars? My God, I feel like it's been a couple of years since I've seen you, buddy. Good to see you here. Let's see. All right, so I see a lot of this Fulci, I don't know how to pronounce that. There's a lot of Micro Four Thirds lens adapters on sale. So here's one for, this is Yashica, I think. Yeah, the Contax Yashica lens. So if you like to shoot vintage lenses on your Micro Four Thirds, these adapters are on sale because they've all gone up to $20 to $30, but now a lot of these are on sale for half. There's a few others here. This one is for the Konica Minolta lenses, 2 micro four thirds. And Konica makes some fantastic lenses. If I recall, the 135 2.8 is amazing. They're big and heavy, they're vintage film camera lenses, but that was an amazing lens. And then you have your standard like L39 screw mount to micro four thirds. There's a ton of vintage screw mount lenses there. Give your photos a lot of character. And then the other one I found is, this is a little bit different. This is actually mounting your film era OM system lenses, like on the OM1 film cameras, to your Fujifilm FX. So this is, I have a few, F-mount lenses. I'm sorry, I do have a few F-mount lenses, but what I meant to say is I have a few OM mount film camera lenses that would be interesting to use on my Fujifilm. So I might, if I don't have this, I might pick this one up, but I think I already have a version of this from a different brand. But yeah, 15 bucks. This is a great deal. And then I think, the OM3 is now on sale. So without the lens is $16.99, and with the lens it's $2,000. This is a bargain, in my opinion. Okay, I mean, I know a lot of people think the OM3 is too expensive, but I paid $2,000 for mine without a lens when it came out, and I have no regrets. And it doesn't bother me at all that the prices come down this 15%, right? So 300 bucks, because now more people can get this camera and really enjoy it. And I think this is just a fantastic camera. So I recommend getting it with the 12 to 45. That's how I use mine, is with the 12 to 45. This is on my camera probably 80% of the time. And then I'll use my 60 macro or my 300 f4 the other 20%. But this I use the most, the 12 to 45. It balances nicely, it's tack sharp, and of course I have the Leo photo grip here, but on my deal page, Hogue has a grip for the OM3. Again, Arca Swiss plate here on the bottom. Nice minimal grip to the front, so it doesn't add a lot of bulk to the camera, just like the Leo Photo one I'm using. The Leo Photo one is about $80. I think I paid $70 when it was on sale, but it's like an $80 grip. This one's half that, right? And it does everything my Leo Photo does. Just about, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah, there's nothing on this Leo Photo. Well, Leo Photo does have one little thing on it. Leo Photo has an additional cold shoe here that the Hogue does not. I guess that's for mounting microphones or whatever accessory, maybe a remote trigger receiver, things like that. I've never used it ever. But yeah, if you have an OM3 already, then this is you can get this grip. If you are buying the OM3 now for the first time, I would get this grip together with it. With the Arca Swiss plate, it's just indispensable. And again, it protects the bottom of the bottom plate of the camera and the tripod screw mount. Because even though this is a metal camera, I've seen people break their tripod screw mount on high-end cameras, right? That are full metal bodies, magnesium alloy, all of that, because they're idiots. I'm sorry to say that, but you have to be really careful with the tripod screw mount. It's not designed to hold really much more than the weight of the camera itself in a small lens. But I've seen people try to, carry their camera with the tripod screw mount using straps or mounting, huge telephoto lenses and then mounting the camera to the tripod via the camera directly rather than a foot on the lens. All kinds of, mistakes people make. And this grip will mitigate that problem quite a bit. Okay, and then I'll just get to a couple of more things here, and I'll go back to the chat. So, if you need a tripod, entry-level tripod, this is, for this price point, there's no better tripod. Nice metal ball head, metal legs, and flip locks, and it also converts to a monopod. So if you don't have any tripod now and you don't think you're going to use it much, just start with this one. Trust me, you're going to use it a lot. I use a tripod all the time. And this is a great tripod to just start out with. And then down the line, you can buy a higher end tripod that's all fancy pants, right? But this one is a great way to start out and use a tripod and use it together with the long exposure filters that I showed earlier, the ND1000s, the ND1 to 9 stop with the magnetic, if you want to do long exposures, light trails, waterfalls, live comp, all of these things, you got to have a tripod. Tripods are also really useful if you like doing portrait photography, because a lot of times you have to frame exactly what you want in the scene, right? And then once it's mounted on the tripod, then the model or the subject can just move around and you can just, fire the camera as needed. So tripods are really useful for that. They're also useful for macro photography, focus bracketing and stacking, and all kinds of things that it's really critical. It's a really critical tool, in my opinion, if you want the very, very best results. You got to have a tripod, and this is a great tripod for $24. Okay, and then here's another one, similar ilk, but this one costs a little more, but it's a basic entry-level tripod, has about the same height, so it's a good height at 66 inches. The main thing here is that this is a little bit more compact. If you look at the legs here, how they compress down to a much smaller diameter, it's just a lot easier to travel with. So if you don't mind spending a little more, I would personally get this one because of the compactness. It doesn't have a monopod option, but if you look at this one, let's see if they show it inverted. Yeah, they don't even show a picture of it folded up because it's kind of bulky. Because what you have to do is, you can collapse the legs as is, like the other tripod, but the overall diameter is much wider, so it's just not as compact. And this tripod, I would imagine, is a little bit heavier too. But either way, okay, get a tripod. And close all these down. Okay, this is a great little bag for 20 bucks. It has a great divider system. I love this. I have one from K&F, but this is sort of a rebranded one for half the price. At the very least, is $12 less than the K&F version. And it's very durable. It's just a vinyl, but it holds a lot of stuff. And it's great. I've packed in my OM3 with the 60 macro and V1 flash. I mean, I've packed this thing in. And then it has a little tripod strap on the bottom. I don't really use that. I found it works itself loose a little bit if you have like a bigger tripod in there. But ultimately, it's, I don't use those straps on the bottom. I usually just hang my tripod off the strap itself, or I'm holding it and carrying it by hand. really tripod straps are more useful on uh, backpacks. But if you know, and the some of the bags that have tripod straps do have locking mechanisms so they don't work themselves loose. But I found that this works itself loose sometimes. And it's just awkward to carry a tripod this way, in my opinion. Okay, but that's it. And then this is another bag. This is considerably larger with more pockets and options. It's a little bit fancy, right, with the color scheme, this blue and tan. It's not really my style, but maybe you like it. And it's a great bag, functionally, from a pragmatic standpoint. Lots of zippers, lots of pockets to separate things. Because that's one of the things about packing your gear is you need to be able to separate things, very easily and conveniently. And this has plenty of pockets, a little slider in the back, two big pockets in the front, and they zipper close, and a pocket in the back of the bag, so that's where I like to slip my parking permits and site licenses and things like that, for easy access. So this, $25, this is a great bag. Uh, I can't think of any other bag at this size and price point that I would get over this bag. And it's not a bad looking bag by any means, but I just prefer all black or gray personally. Okay, and then further down, I'm going to show you a couple of things. If you've never seen my shopping page before, this is a great way to back up things in the field. So take a look at this. This is a great little device for, and I bought both of these. This is a great little device for checking your USB-C cables, making sure that they're PD compatible, what their data transmission rates are. Because after a while, you accumulate, I don't know, I probably got 100 USB cables laying around if I actually added them up. And this helps me negotiate which ones I can use for what things. Some cables I just need to charge, a battery. Doesn't matter almost what cable I use. But some cables, I need to update my firmware. It's kind of a big deal. You don't want to have a cheap or slow cable. You want to transfer things off your memory card from your SD card reader, things like that. Attaching an SSD. You want to put the very best cable you have, and you want to verify cables that you buy are compatible and do what they say they're going to do. So I can highly recommend this device if you have a lot of USB-C cables laying around. This is a great device for everyone. I love this fisheye. I was supposed to do this review last week. I just couldn't get to it. I've been so busy. But I'm done with all of the photos and stuff. I just have to sit down and make a video. But it's a great lens, long story short. 6mm fisheye for micro four thirds is also available for some APS-C cameras. Yeah, Canon, Fuji, Nikon, Sony. I haven't tried this on a full frame camera, but I know on the Fuji, it does fill the frame without hardly any vignetting. I mean, it has normal amount of vignetting, but not excessive. I don't know what it would do on a full frame Nikon Z mount. I'll have to try it on my Canon and see. I don't buy the lenses. I just take the micro four thirds one I have and just put it in front of the sensor on whatever other camera, and that gives me a good idea if it's going to have vignetting or heavy vignetting on different size sensors. Okay, and that about sums it up. There's a lot of other things in here if you have any questions about. I've recommended these in the past many, many times, and I can recommend anything down here as something you should get. Filter rings, filter wrenches, all that stuff. And that's all I had. Oh, actually there is Well, let me go to the chat and then we'll go over to eBay because the OM System outlet has a lot of stuff on sale. That some of them are better deals than others, and we'll talk about those. Okay, and I see oh, Lars, you're new. Okay. You have the same name as one of my viewers uh, went by Lars. It's kind of a unique name, so I just assumed that it was you were the same person. But yeah, I haven't seen Lars in a long time. But I'm glad you could join us today. And Zoltan, good to see you. And Heather. So Heather, I emailed you this morning about your composition issues with your camera. Basically, you're using you got the teleconverter turned on. So hopefully that worked. Let me know. And Lars says, I wanted a 60 millimeter 2.8 macron, found the Olympus branded version new for $180 cheaper than the OM System branded one. So I bought it. I bought the Olympus. Figured it was the exact same lens. Yes, it's exactly the same. It's just been rebranded. So you got a great deal if you saved 180 bucks. That's awesome. And that's an awesome, awesome lens. And Peter says, I don't want to upset anyone. I handled the OM3 the other day. It felt light. It felt lightweight like. Okay. Some would say that's a positive thing, but that's why it's important sometimes, to handle the camera. So I'll give you a good example. Let me ask you, Peter, have you ever handled the Nikon ZFC? That was a camera when I picked it up felt kind of cheap to me. It just felt hollow and plasticky because it is. And they did that to reduce the weight, I assume, and cost of the camera because you can pick those up brand new for like $1,000 and then on the used market like $600. But the OM3 is at least an all metal chassis, but they did try to minimize the weight. I think with battery it's only 500 grams. And that's pretty lightweight for a camera, 500 grams, considering the capability that it has. So that's why, I always add a grip to all my cameras, and it adds weight to the camera as well. Size and weight is critical for me and a lot of people, and a lot of people won't add a grip because it just adds more bulk than they want. But for me, the little bit of extra bulk is a reasonable trade-off for the functionality of the grip and the Arco Swiss plate on the bottom. So if you want the OM3, I would recommend getting the grip with it, and I think you'll have a very different opinion maybe about how it feels in your hand. But ultimately, it's up to you if that makes sense or not, right? Because the alternative is the OM1 Mark II instead of the OM3. But okay, but thanks for sharing your experience there, and don't worry, you're not going to offend anyone here. As long as everybody's just expressing how they feel and what their opinion is, that's fine, right? We can all have different opinions or different points of view of the same thing, right? That's what makes the world go round. And the Hogue OM3 group is excellent on all my on my OM3 all the time. Okay, thank you, Jeff, for sharing that. Like I said, the whole grip on my EM5 Mark III is on there. It's never come off once I put it on there. And then Peter adds here that it just did not have the weight that I expected. It just not feel like a quality item. Okay. So, yeah, so I think I've said all I need to say there. Everyone has different expectations and different, different ways they feel about when they hold something in their hands. Like I was explaining how I picked up a ZFC and it totally turned me off when I held that camera in my hand. Now, for some people, they add the half leather case and to kind of offset that feeling. And I hear that makes a nice difference. And some people, they don't care. They'd rather compromise a little bit on the feel of the camera to get the lighter weight. And I think with the OM3, it's funny. A lot of people have picked up my camera with the 12 to 45 and the grip on it, and they didn't feel like it was a lightweight camera. A lot of people complain it's too heavy for what it is. But like I said, we're all different, right? We're all coming from a different place. And oh, okay, you emailed me back. All right, I didn't get a chance to check, but that's good. I'm glad that fixed it. Okay, and I do answer a lot of emails. There's one person I need to get back to. Gosh, I can't remember their name, but it's been about a week. They were asking me about upscaling in OM in DxO. Okay, so I don't see any other questions here. Heather says the OM3 is a popular camera for sure, sold out of the refurbished ones very quickly. Oh, really? Are they out? So yeah, let's go over to the OM Systems eBay page. That's where they sell their refurbished products. Where's my link? Is it on this page? Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, so there's a link to the outlet store down below as well. Yeah, $308 for a TG7, excellent deal. My question is there a TG8 around the corner? You know? But the TG7 is an excellent camera. I have the TG5. I use it all the time. Let's see, some other deals here. I'd probably pass on these EM10s. They're just a little bit long in the tooth. It's a good deal. And this is like what, Taylor Swift's favorite camera, or one of the cameras she's been seen with, I should say. But that doesn't mean anything to me. I would say I would probably pass for $448. It's a good deal, but I'd pass. I'd rather spend a little bit more and get a lot more camera. I would skip this. Most of the time you can kind of get by without using a dot sight. Once you develop your skill set, and because I shoot with the 300 f4 with the teleconverter all the time, and I'm at a point now I can very quickly just pull the camera up to my eye and I'll be almost on the subject every time. So this doesn't work for me for birds in flight type photography. I think for sports action photography, where you don't know where the action is going to come from and you need to be able to look at a wider field of view to see what's going on in different parts of the scene, then maybe this makes sense. But for me, it didn't. It just, for the money, it didn't take me very long to get my skill set up to where I didn't really need this for birds in flight. I wouldn't buy reconditioned batteries, so skip that. The 14 to 150 is a great lens. 400 is a fair price. Let's see, and the 45. Okay, this is kind of a no-brainer, except for the fact that you can buy brand new for about 20 bucks more right now on Amazon. I think I have it over here. Let me check. Yeah. You can buy brand new on Amazon for like 20 bucks more. So I would just do that rather than buying a refurbished. But when the Amazon sale is done, and if this is still on sale, just get it here and save 20 bucks. Okay, the 8 to 25 for 703, that's a good price. You know, this lens selling brand new is like $1,000 now. So, and it's a great focal length, you know, range, 8 to 25. The only caveat is this is kind of a big and heavy lens for what it is. But if you want a rectilinear wide angle lens, I could highly recommend this. And I would probably use it on an OM1 or EM1. It'd probably be a little bulky on smaller cameras like an OM5 or, EM10. So I would use this on just the OM1 or EM1. Another EM10 Mark IV without a lens for $391. Again, I would pass. I mean, not that it's not a good camera, but it's a little long in the tooth. This is a no-brainer. If you don't have this lens, I would get this. I don't. The 40 to 150 f4 to 5.6, the plastic fantastic lens, so compact, small, lightweight, very, very sharp lens. I just have no need to buy the f4 version because they have a Pro 40 to 150 f4 constant. They also have a Pro 40 to 150 f2.8. And those lenses cost substantially more, anywhere from $800 to $1,500. You can get this one for $128. And then there's also the new 50 to 200 f2.8. I mean, this is all you need, in my opinion. If you just want this focal range, this is all you need. If you need a faster lens for low light, or you need the very best, you need it, and you're going to look at those lenses and not even consider this one. But for a lot of people just getting started in photography, you don't need to spend a lot of money to get a great lens, and this is a great lens. Especially at this price point, it's a bargain. Okay, a lens hood, let's see, an OM1 Mark II with a 12 to 40, that's a good deal. Because a 12 to 40 f2.8 is like an $800 lens, so you're getting an OM1 Mark II for $1,200. Or you can look at it like you're getting two used pieces of gear. I would split it to $600. Well, I would say, a 12 to 40 you can get for about $500 used. And an OM1 you can probably get for about $1,500 used. So you are saving a little bit of money, but you're getting a refurbished product with a warranty for a little less than you could probably buy it if you were to try to buy it used on eBay from some other dealer. So to me, this makes this an excellent deal. And of course, the camera itself is awesome. So enough said there. This is a great lens, $959. The catch here is that a lot of times this is on sale for $1,000 brand new. So I would look to see if you could find this brand new for $999. If not, then $959 is a good price. Here's an OM5 with a 12 to 45. That's an awesome deal. Because that 12 to 45 sells used between $350 and $400 all by itself. So you're getting an OM5 for about $600 to $700 here. And you're getting a warranty. And you're getting a great camera. Just get it with the whole grip that I talked about earlier and you're all set. The 40 to 150 in silver. The silver paint chips after a while. Doesn't look great, but maybe you want silver and you take better care of your stuff than I do. You can get a silver one. Either way, great lens. But it's not metal, it's just paint. Just like the EM10 Mark IV, this is just painted, okay? If you want to know how this is going to look after like 4 or 5 years, just look on eBay at used ones and you can see. Look at the photos there. Kit lens, I've always been a big fan of. If you don't want to spend money for the 12 to 45 and you need this focal range, this is a great lens. And especially if you pair it up with DxO, you get very, very sharp images. Okay, and let's see. Here's an OM5 without a lens. Good deal. $768. The OM5 doesn't have the subject detect like the OM1. So if you like to do a lot of birds and flight type things, then I wouldn't get this. I would get an OM1. But if you're like a street shooter or studio, macro, any of that stuff. This will do just as good a job as the flagship camera for half the price or more. So great, great little camera. Very, very compact. Okay, I would skip this filter. Again, they have another one down here. I don't know why they have it listed twice. The 14-150 is listed again. I would skip these chargers. You can buy generic ones for $10. Here's a silver OM5. You know, everything I said about the one before applies to the silver. Some recording devices. I don't use any of that stuff. The 25 1.2 I would pass. It's kind of an expensive lens for what it is. I mean, if you need a pro lens, you know you need it. If you're doing paid work and you're a professional photographer, then this makes sense. But I would say for most enthusiasts and amateurs, you don't need this. You can get the 25 1.8 and it's going to do 90% of what you need. Here's the kit lens in silver. And the OM5 again with a lens. Here's the OM1 Mark 1. You know, for what do they say? It's about $140 more. I would get the Mark 2. Oh, but the difference is this is coming with the Pro version 2 of the lens. So that's not bad. I'd still get the Mark 2. I wouldn't get the Mark 1. For $140 price difference, I would get this. I would get the Mark 2, not the Mark 1. 12mm f2, great lens. Very, very sharp. This price is just okay. I think you can get a better deal somewhere. Not brand new, but on the used market, you can probably get a better deal. EM1X, same thing. I think you can get a better deal on the used market. I know these come with warranty. If that's important, then go ahead and, you know, these are fair prices if you want a warranty. Because I don't know how much value you would put on a warranty, but these are fair. And same thing with the OM1 Mark 1 here. Just a fair price if you want the warranty from OM Systems directly. This definitely I would pass. I would just get a used one for about $600. They're all over the place. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah. So we're all done there. So that's my opinion and recommendations for the OM System outlet. If you guys have any questions about that, if you've been thinking about getting anything there, let me know. And we can dive a little deeper, or we can dive a little deeper into any other products I showed earlier. So it's awful quiet here. Am I still live? Looks like it. Very quiet today, though. Okay. Got about 31 people here. So let me just check B&H real quick. See what they have going on. Yeah, I don't see anything particularly good here. Meaning that stuff that I would not recommend to somebody getting started. I just don't see anything here. Katzenel's asking, what are the best low-cost cards for Type A? I have one actually that I can recommend. Let me go to, what's the brand? Let me see. Pergear. Pergear is the best deal, and it's an excellent card. I tested it. It's really good. And it's on sale. So, let's see. Now, it depends what you need, right? They got two versions here. They got this one, This is the Type 4. So this has pretty fast read and write speeds. Let me just double check. There is a caveat here though. I have to look at the fine print real quick. CF Express. Okay. I need to know what size you're looking at. Let me see what mine was. Quick. And I'm being very careful here because this is true of just about all of the CF Express type cards, regardless of brand. Yeah, I have the Type. Okay, this is the one that I have. This is the one that I have here. I have a video review on this card also if you want to check it out. But long story short is this is the Type 4. This is the latest. So it gives you a little bit of future-proofing capability. That said, and the reason I say future-proofing is because no camera on the market right now that I'm aware of supports Type 4 or CF Express 4.0. All of them are CF Express 2.0. So your maximum speeds are not going to be like this in camera. In camera, I got about 700 megabits or megabytes, whatever that figure is. But I got about half what's stated here, or even a little less than half than what's stated here. But ultimately, it's the fastest card you can get, and you can get them for $100 a piece. The 512 gig, if you're doing video, I would recommend getting a 512 gig. If you're doing photography, just get the 256. But if you're doing more than a couple of hours of video at a time, you need to get the 512 gig. And what is this costing? You're getting double for, looks like 130 a pop. I'm sorry. Where's my $180 each? So 4.0. So if you need 4.0, per gear is the best deal. But let me just do a quick scan of some other brands. And see where they're at. 169. The Lexar's 110. 105. So yeah, the per gear is still the very best deal as far as I can tell. Oh, that's a good deal. OWC 4. Is that a Type 4? That's a Type 4 also. Okay. I mean, if you do a ton of 8K video, then you need a lot of RAM. Then I would get this OWC. But if you're doing like a lot of 4K 60, 4K 120, 512 would probably cover it for a couple of hours. And they got a 10% at checkout discount as well here. So that's really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to my deal page. So if you want to give me any credit for this, you can just go to my deal page and you know, pick either the 256 or the 512. And if you want to go all out, this is not a bad deal. $350 for 960 gig. And I know OWC is a good brand. So I'll add this to the deal page. But let me just double check one more time. Let's sort by customer review. So 128, a 240. ProGrade's not bad, but this is This has a write speed of 700. That's more accurate. They're being kind of honest about their... Oh, this is a type B. Never mind. Okay, here's a ProGrade type A. Wow, that's expensive. But they're a little more honest about their read and write speeds. See, they're saying 1800 and 800. That's an honest rating, I'm sure. Because if you look at PerGear and any other, these are type Bs. But if you look at any other brand, Next Storage is a good brand, but yeah, that's kind of pricey. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not rated as high. But that's probably an honest rating. But you want to make sure you get the ones that say 1700, 1800. These are type Bs. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. So let me tell you, the 1780 megabits per second that they're claiming on the front of the PerGear cards, and a lot of these cards, to be honest, you can get that in a burst for a couple of seconds, okay? But it doesn't maintain that. It drops down to like 600-700 megabits, right? In real life. And I'm talking about reading and writing to my laptop directly using a CF Express Type 4 card reader writer. So you need to get, if you want, it's optional, but if you want to get the maximum read and write speed to and from your computer, you need to get a Type 4 card reader as well. And there's various versions of that. I don't think it's that important. But it is faster. If you're doing a lot of video, then yeah, you probably want to get the card reader as well. And PerGear makes one for that too. But you know, there's a whole chain of Type 4. You need a USB Type 4 or Thunderbolt Type 4 USB-C port to use these things, or to take advantage of the speed that this has. Otherwise, it's going to run really slow. So just think about all of that, and then the cables, right? You have to have a USB-C cable. These always come with their own cable anyway, so you'll be okay. But don't mix it up. You know, label it when you get it. So I hope that found helpful. Oh, you have it for this. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me read this. For the Sony A1 and A1 Mark II bodies, okay. Yeah, I would go with the PerGears. I mean, if you look at the ratings here, 360 ratings of 4.7. And this is for the slower rated card. That's not the Type 4, but get the Type 4s. But the A1 and A1 Mark II, I don't believe they're Type 4 in camera either. They're still Type 2. So in camera, you're not going to get that kind of speed. But look at my review. Well, let me see if I can just pull up the relevant part real quick. So I'll put a link to this video. Because the video is really helpful if you're thinking about buying CF Express Type A card, whether you buy the PerGear or not. I did a lot of things in the video that you can apply to all the cards. Okay, let me find the relevant part here. So, copying files to the PC. And I compared it against USB. You know, I compared it against all these other types of cards, but let me find. Okay. I think this is the right place. So, read and write to the SSD. Okay, that's not in camera. I did an in-camera test, but I have an A7R5, but I calculated Well, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. Oh, here we go. Right here. All right. So in camera on my A7R5, which is 60 megapixel, so it's the same number of megapixel, but it doesn't have the frame rate, frame rate that your camera has. But I got the buffer filled in 11 seconds. Where's the header? The buffer filled in 11. I got 42 images. Buffer in seconds. Okay. I have to listen to the audio to kind of remember what I didn't do a good job on this chart. But you should be able to look at a chart and just know what it's telling you. I can't tell exactly what it's saying. But if you look at the columns going down, the buffer filled in 11 seconds. I got 42 RAW plus JPEG images, and it took 53 seconds to clear the buffer. That has to be, that's what this car, okay, so this is the Samsung Pro. All right, that's what okay, now I know what it is. All right, so this column here is the Pergear 256. So it filled the buffer. The buffer didn't fill until 53 seconds. So it took 53 seconds to fill the buffer. I got 217 images, and it only took 11 seconds to clear the buffer, compared to like a standard SD card. This is a V60 card. This is a V90 card. I really should have put the headers up here. But yeah, so I'm getting way better performance than even a V90 card. Okay. With the Pergear. So yeah, this column here is the one you want to think about. And then you multiply 217 times the number of megabytes the files are, the RAW and the JPEGs, and you kind of figure out the throughput. I think I did that. But definitely watch this video. I think it's worth 10 minutes of your time to watch that and get a feel for how fast the Pergear is relative to regular SD cards. The Sony Tough cards are breaking my wallet. I can't anymore. Okay, definitely check those out. Lots of deals on heated vests, great outdoors and indoors. As portable heating pad, just bought a Zilva vest. Oh wow, 1800 milliamp battery. Seems good so far, half price. Okay, that's good to know. I have a couple of heated vests myself, but they have like the 5000 milliamp batteries, and they last about 3-4 hours. I don't think they would last all day, but they work pretty well. And let's see, what are the best? Heather says, I joined late, guessing you talked about the EM Tech card. Oh, I have not talked about it. I did use it this weekend though. So Heather is asking me about this V60 card, UHS2 SD, 256 gig. It's $37. It's like half the price of every other similar card. And all my bench testing on my computer and laptop, like I did for the Pergear card, the thing performs. No problem at all. No errors, really good throughput rate, and the capacity that's stated on the card is true. It's a 256 gig card, so it's not a fake card. And in the field, it performed great. I didn't have any problems. I didn't do a lot. I think I did about 2,000 images this weekend. I didn't have a lot of opportunity. There wasn't as many birds in flight as I had hoped when I went. But I offloaded those 2,000 images back to my computer. No errors. Every image came out perfectly fine. In fact, this is one of I've already curated it down to 120 images, but yeah, I didn't have any corrupted images out of the 2,000 that I shot. I didn't have any corrupted images. It worked just fine. Now, like I said, there's no way for me to test the long-term durability of the card in real-world conditions because it just takes time. So the few days that I've had the card, I'm very impressed. Long term, we'll see. I did look into what Henning was saying about the reliability of these cards being questionable, and it seems to be on the other versions that they have, like the UHS-1 cards, not the V60 cards. I couldn't really find any issues with the V60, but people were complaining that after 6 months, the card was corrupted, on the lower end cards. I did see some reviews to that effect, but I haven't found anything on the V60 card because maybe it hasn't been out 6 months yet. I don't know. But my recommendation at this point is I would probably still buy the PNY or the Sabrent versions that cost twice as much, or if you can wait for them to go on sale. Unfortunately, it seems like every V60 card is now $70, $80. I did find one or two that were like $60, but I definitely wouldn't recommend those. But at $37, I had to try it, right? Because I never recommended a $37, some third party, no name V60 card before. But seeing how prices are so high now on the V60 cards, I had to try it. And so far I'm happy with it. So I would say I don't know if it's still worth a risk of getting one for $37 when you can buy a good brand like PNY for about $70. So let's take a quick look. And also this video I published on the Per Gear. Let me see. I published this in May. And I've been using that card since May of last year. And no problems, no corrupted files, formats, everything is fine. So the durability so far is good on that one. Okay, you can give it a try. It's $36.99, so really 37. But yeah, try it. I haven't had any problems so far. And Henning said because Henning was the one that kind of told me the cards are not reliable. I always tend to spend some more money on the cars. Cheap buys twice. Yeah, had come true way too many times. But if you're lucky with this very card, you win. Yeah, who knows, right? Like I said, I don't know about the long term because I just got the card, but it's performing equally as well as my more expensive ones. That's all I can tell you right now. But let me look at so let's see what the V60s other brands are going for. Yeah, 181 for two of them, 140 for two. So again, that's like $72 a pop, right? Here's the one that we're talking about. This is on my deal page. This is the one that I've bought 3 times. I've got 3 of these. But I only paid I paid less than $40 for these. Because if we click on the price history button, where is it? Here. And let's click on the 90-day. Oh, we don't even have to click on the 90-day. The 90-day, the lowest price I see here is $44. So I've had these for more than 90 days. In fact, my last purchase was what, February 3rd of 2025, and I'm still using these cards. But when I bought them, they were less than $40. Anywhere between 35 and 40 is what I paid. But I haven't seen it down that low. The lowest it's been in the last week looks like it's been $59 maybe. But you can buy two of those EMTC cards, right? EM Tech cards for the price of just one of these. So I think it's worth it. I think it's worth a shot. Yeah, I won't use it for any special shoots for sure. Yeah. Uh, for me, nothing is that special. For my paid work, yeah, I use my PNYs, but my personal stuff, uh, I just grab any card that I can find sometimes. I got a bunch of cards. One of these cards is bad, actually. This my SanDisk card. I think this SanDisk card is the very first card I bought. No, it's not. It's the second one. The very first card I bought was a 16 gig PNY. It still works. It's in my camera. One of the cameras back there. This 32 gig I bought when I bought my Nikon D7200. My Nikon D7200, this was the card that I used. But it won't format or work anymore. So it lasted, it's probably been over a year that this thing's been dead. So it's lasted since 2014. So it lasted about 9 years at least, about 9 years. Now it's dead. But I have to say, it's probably been washed and dried a couple of times through the washer and dryer cycle over the years. So it's not really a fair comparison, right? But yeah, that card lasted about 9 years. Okay. Someone once told me always buy the cards in pairs. If you have a dual slot camera, right? Then yeah, buy them in pairs. But if you have a single slot, oh, you do have a dual slot camera, so you need to buy a pair. That's true. So yeah, buy a pair and then write to both, right? I talked about that in my stream this weekend. Someone had asked me about, how do I format my cards, all of that, right? So I talked about all that. Okay, I don't see any other questions here, and I think I've covered everything. We did B&H, eBay, and Amazon. So I'll just leave it to an open Q&A. I'll give it a minute. I need to answer the phone, but if you guys have any questions, you can write them now. Okay, sorry about that. When my mom calls, I have to answer. Just no choice, right? I missed one from Martin. Okay, Martin Green. Okay, let me take a look. Oh, I did miss this one. I'm sorry, Martin. Okay, so for street photography, am I better off buying an EM5 III or an OM5? Okay, the key difference between the two cameras for street photography is the face detect. The face detect is much better on the OM5 than it is on the EM5 Mark III. So if you're relying on the autofocus face detect, particularly when the face is pretty small in the frame, the OM5 is going to perform better. And overall, it's a little bit snappier camera to use. It's faster, has the newer processor. It has the newer processor, but the same sensor. So I would get the OM5 personally for street photography, or really any photography, because the M5 Mark III is not that much cheaper right now than the OM5. So for the difference in price, I would get the OM5. Now, if every penny counts, you don't want to spend the extra $100-$200 difference between the two cameras, then you'll be fine with the M5 Mark III. I mean, I don't have any, like, that's what I use. I have no reason to update to the OM5 personally, because this does everything I need it to do. And when I'm taking pictures of people's faces, as long as they are big enough in the frame. So let me give you an example. If you're shooting, uh, if they're more than 20% of the frame, you're going to be fine. The autofocus is going to work great. The face, if you're going to use the automatic face detect, it'll be fine. So you can save a couple $100 and get the M5 Mark III. Uh, but personally, I'd probably go for the OM5 because the autofocus is a little better for the face detect. Nothing else. Everything else is the same. The tracking, the 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 subject, not subject detect, but just locking onto whatever the focus point is. It's pretty much the same. But the face detect is better in the OM5, and it has a little better processing engine in it. So I would get the OM5, but for a couple $100 less, uh, the M5 Mark III works well. And Roger's here. Okay, good to see you, Roger. All right. I think that's it. So you guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Uh, I have I have hopefully found some good deals and I answered the questions best I can. And I'll be back Friday for, yeah, today's Tuesday. So I'll be back Friday for the photo editing stream. So look for that video, but you can always submit your images beforehand. And I edit in DxO Photolab. And then I'll be back on Sunday for a regular photo chat where it's all Q&A and talking about different subjects. So thanks again for joining me today. Happy shopping. Have a good day, a good week, a good life. Exercise, eat healthy, and I hope to see